Welcome to Created Forum, everybody. This year, we thought we'd do something a little bit different.
I'm in awe of everyone who's here today. I feel it's a privilege. We are raising funds and awareness today for Women's Aid, for Refuge, and for Children in Need India, UK.
What would you say are the main challenges facing women today?
There are so many challenges that women experience. This perception that womanhood is all the same, and that, you know, the way that we support women is all in the same way.
There feels very much as if there is now a sort of backlash against feminism, against the idea that the patriarchy has any power. We have to try and avoid that argument that feminism's job is done. Feminism's job is absolutely not done.
It is an absolute travesty what's been happening to women, and nothing is going to change unless we choose to be the agent of change.
We need long-term, proper strategies like we would have for the economy, like we would have for how our NHS is going to cope in 5 years' time.
And the difference about having women around that table with men is that when we're 50-50, we make great decisions.
I just want an equal number of women in the room when those decisions are being made, and for everything to be put through the lens of how would this be better if everybody was taking part.
We are all part of that change, and whether that's a small part or a big part, you know, we each have a role to play.
On our own, we are invisible. Nobody notices us. But together, we are invincible.
There is a tremendous rise in abuse today, particularly since this COVID, of women living with their abusive partners.
243 million women around the world face that even before COVID.
The two things that really matter, respect and reward, and if both are offered equally, then you're living in a fair society.
Equal pay has obviously been a huge thing. We were talking about, you know, the power of having economic freedom.
I asked for more money to have parity with John Forsyth, who was the leading man, and absolutely, totally refused. Oh no, he's the man, he gets more money. I became very strong during that time. I would not allow myself to be used and abused by men.
Women can get great support from each other, but we won't achieve this if men are not coming with us on this journey. We're all in this together. Society's in this together.
You know, my ideal is that we move to a world where we don't have to think in terms of color, race, gender, anything that's just part of who we are. Then we're free to judge each other on our actual behaviors, actual ethics, actual decisions, actual, you know, work that we do.
We've seen that it's not just a disadvantage to be from any of the protected categories under the Equalities Act, as well as social mobility, but the more boxes you tick across intersectionality, the more barriers you face within your career and the less money you earn.
There is no one experience of employment or womanhood or manhood or any of these things, and so sort of remaining receptive and trying not to make assumptions based on things.
Whoever we are, whoever we love, wherever we started in life, men have to be allies.
I think it's very, very important to bring men and boys into the equation early on.
You must, presumably both of you, all three of you, accept that you are role models.
It's humbling, but it's also a privilege and almost like a responsibility. So you just kind of think, well, if it helps in any way, that's great.
I'm happy to be a role model, but I certainly don't want to be the role model. The answer to the problem is we just need more visibility. We need to hear from lots more women so that we can all bring our very different experiences to the table.
We're very powerful beings, but we don't always utilize that power. We don't always honor it.
Women tend to take on a lot, saying yes to everything, taking it on, trying to do it all, and often we neglect the most important parts of ourselves.
I think as women, we often feel that if we're doing things for ourselves, we're being selfish.
When you look at the figures that are reported, not nearly enough women are at the top, or even at the table to have the conversations.
This sort of new circular way that we can be together as women and men all of us together creating a new future is coming much more from down up.
The only constant in life is change. Your power is that you get to direct which way that goes in. Do you want to grow forward or do you want to go backwards? Because in any given moment of any day, that's what's happening.
When you lift each other up, we all get lifted up, and there is enough space at the table for us all to sit at.
And there's nothing more profound than those kinds of female relationships when they're working at their best.
We've all got that common ground of maybe facing prejudice or facing barriers and championing one another. I think that's the biggest message, and this is why I love doing things like this.
Our sisters are caught up in something that is described by political leaders and lawmakers as part of the culture. There are policies that can make a difference, and there are lots of things that we could and should be doing.
Even if the rules and regulations and the lawmakers get involved, unless we have addressed it more on a micro level or look at these things, you know, from an educational perspective, a familial perspective, those cultures and traditions will continue to inhibit and to hold back individuals.
I think there are lots of things that women in leadership positions can do, but the most important is to enable men to be good coaches and mentors and advocates for women, and to help open those doors and give people the opportunities to pilot projects, to lead projects, to develop other people and develop themselves.
I'm fascinated by how quickly society is changing because woman is changing.
It's important to celebrate intersectionality. It's important to be aware of the fact that statistically certain groups are more challenged, and the more intersectional you are, the more challenges people face. But there are two struggles. There's the struggle to survive and there's the struggle to thrive. And it's really important that we honor those people who are professionals. We've seen lots of people today at the tops of the profession, but it has not been an easy journey for anyone. And we all have to support each other on that journey.
There's no world that we've ever seen where equality exists.
I say, forget your wait and see. I don't have time to wait.
I think women are literally drowning in this, trying to stay in this system that was not made for them.
I think reframing the debate and reframing the dialogue, I think, is very important, because it's very easy now to act as if, well, now women want quotas, or ethnic minorities want quotas, or whatever. No, the quota before was 100%. The question is, what should it be now?
Changing the status quo has its issues, and people know that the minute we begin to dig and ask these questions, they're going to have to restructure, and they don't want to restructure.
You don't have to be a Muslim to be against Islamophobia. You don't have to be a woman to be against misogyny. You don't have to be Black to be against racism. If you're against inequality, if you're against injustice, you need to be against all of them and use the same energy, anger, and everything else, as you can see, and speak out against it, period.
Yes, the system isn't right, it isn't just, and therefore we have a huge job on our hands. But that is the job, that is the job.
Thank you so much. Every one of these panels, we could just spend all day with all of you. You guys have been amazing.
Amazing. Thank you so much for joining us.